Hello. My name is Jaspal, and I'm a sociolinguist. This means that it is my job to analyze how people use language to navigate social situations, to enter social interactions, and to make claims about their identities, about who they are in relation to others. But I'm not only a sociolinguist, I'm also a father to a beautiful 11-month-old baby. This is my partner's and my first baby, and like all new parents, we have a lot to discover and a lot to learn and a lot to unlearn as well. And like all parents, we are frequently asked this question: boy or girl? We are asked this question by people in the park, on the streets, on the bus. The question even preceded the birth of our child. While still in utero, the question, what are you having, aimed at finding out the gender identity of our fetus based on the visibility of their genitals on a scan. Now, to be very honest with you, this question weirded me out. It made me feel quite uncomfortable. I experienced it as a highly intrusive question and a private question, yet people asked it in a way as if it was the most normal thing to ask. It was part of an everyday small talk. The weather is nice, isn't it? Boy or girl? In many conversations I had with my partner and my friends, we reflected on this question, and we reflected on our response to this question. And we eventually decided to not gender our baby, at least not until they themselves can speak and refer to themselves as a boy or a girl or whatever they want to call themselves. Our reluctance to reveal the gender identity of our baby to random people on the street is often met with confusion and sometimes with hostility. People don't know how to deal with not knowing the gender of a baby. Which pronouns to use? Is he going to become a great football player, or is she going to become a beautiful ballerina? Is he handsome or is she pretty? Sometimes people just walk away and stop talking to us, or they randomly select a pronoun, for instance, he, based on the fact that our baby is wearing a blue jumper on that day. Now, it is not that people have bad intentions or want to consciously impose a gender binary identity on a small human being. It's just the way the world functions. In our society, there are two genders based on two sexes, and these can be sort of scientifically determined by looking at genitals of babies. There's nothing to discuss here. It's just a fact. Gender is a fact. I don't know about you, but I feel that such an ideology can be quite harmful. Many of my friends are gender non-binary, gender queer, gender non-conforming, transgender, and some of them struggle to convince or make their parents and their families and their friends understand that the gender assigned to them at birth does not fit their identity. They want to change their names. They want to change their pronouns. They want to change their hairstyle. They want to change their hormones. They want to change their dress. They want to change the way they present themselves to the world. For some parents, this is very difficult to accept. And it's very difficult for them to follow the lead of their children. And perhaps understandably so. Their parents must have got so used to calling little Sarah she and little Jack he, that it is now quite difficult for them to all of a sudden change their linguistic habits. They perhaps hope that this is just a phase and that their kids will go back to normal one day soon. But for some trans people and some non-binary people, the pressure is too high and the stakes are too high. Some end up doing self-harm. Some, too many, commit suicide. When our baby was born, we decided to not impose a gender binary identity on them. And we hope that this will prepare us parents, us adults, to create a family culture in which they can be a bit more free from the restrictions of the two dominant genders. And they can live a life where they're not always constantly reminded that they are either a boy or a girl. Now, in my talk today, I will bring together two of my identities: the identity of a professional sociolinguist and my identity as a father. And I will try to think through how adults, parents, use gendered language to refer to their babies or to refer to children in general. And I will try to make the argument that we don't actually need to gender our babies as much as we commonly do in our society. And I will do so by focusing on third-person singular pronouns. Now, personal pronouns have become a politically contested topic in recent years. And watching some of the debates on TV or on the internet, as a sociolinguist, I must say that pronouns are often misunderstood. So what I'm trying to do today is first clarify what pronouns are, what they do in language, and I want to convince you that we can use singular they pronouns to be more inclusive of all people, of all genders. And perhaps we can use singular they pronouns for our babies as well, to not impose on them a gender binary identity. So first of all, what are pronouns? The word pronoun itself means to stand in for a noun. So these are little particles in language that we use to refer back to a noun that has already been mentioned in a sentence. So just two very simple examples, one from Zadie Smith's novel On Beauty. Levi, this is our noun here, pushed his headphones to one side on his head. Those two instances of third-person singular pronoun, masculine pronoun in this case, he, here in genitive or possessive case, his, are used instead of Levi, right? They stand in for Levi. We could also say the sentence in this way: Levi pushed Levi's headphones to one side on Levi's head. It's the same sentence, grammatically the same sentence, the same meaning, but it is a bit awkward because we don't like to repeat the noun, therefore we use pronouns. Let me give you a second example. This is taken from Audre Lorde's essay, Uses of Anger, from her wonderful collection, Your Silence Will Not Protect You. The angers between women, now we've got two nouns in this sentence, the angers and women, will not kill us. Now this is quite interesting. Audre Lorde here uses first-person plural pronoun we or us to include herself in the category of women. We recognize us and we refers back to women rather than angers. Now this is quite different from Zadie Smith's use of third-person pronoun. Zadie Smith talks about Levi. Levi is not part of that conversation. Zadie Smith, the author, talks about him. He's outside of the conversation. Whereas Audre Lorde includes herself by using first-person plural pronouns in the category of women. The sentence continues, if we can articulate them, now we recognize this them actually refers to the angers. Okay? So what this shows is that pronouns usage can be quite complex. We can have multiple nouns and multiple pronouns in one sentence referring back to different things. And they can be used in an inclusive way and first person, like in Audre Lorde's example, or they can be used in an exclusive way, as in Zadie Smith's example. Also, pronouns are everywhere. Just pick up a random book on your shelf, pick a random sentence. Chances are very, very, very high that there's not just one or two, but maybe three pronouns in each sentence. Okay, so we've understood what pronouns do. Now I want to see what you think are appropriate pronouns. Okay, so by show of hands, I want you to tell me which sentence you think is the most appropriate sentence. Imagine you're traveling on a coach through the country and you will hear a safety announcement played back on tape. The safety announcement will inform you that you have to wear a seatbelt, that this is a non-smoking service, and that the toilets are located at the rear of the vehicle. And there will also be a sentence like this. If there are any changes to the service, your driver, and now I want you to show, by show of hands, who thinks that sentence A is the most appropriate one? Your driver will do his best to keep you informed. By show of hands. Oh, we have progressed, huh? Wow. Maybe one, maybe, okay. Who thinks B is the most appropriate sentence? Your driver will do her best to keep you informed. I actually think this is the most appropriate version. We can talk about this in another day. Who thinks C is the most appropriate version? Your driver will do his or her best to keep you informed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, okay, a few. Who thinks sentence D is the most appropriate version? Your driver will do their best to keep you informed. Wow, okay, this is the vast majority. So it seems quite clear that in contemporary English usage, singular they pronouns to refer back to a singular noun, one driver, they're not 2 or 3 drivers, one driver, is quite accepted. And the company, this is in fact actually also the sentence that the company has chosen to play back on their service safety announcement. And it is to be inclusive of all genders. The driver could be a man, the driver could be a woman, the driver could be trans, the driver could be non-binary, whatever. And the company has chosen singular they pronouns to be as inclusive as possible. And this is not a new phenomenon. Over the last 500 years of canonical English literature, we find instances of singular they. For instance, in William Shakespeare's early comedy, A Comedy of Errors, 1594, he writes, "There's not a man, singular, I meet but doth salute me as if I were their well-acquainted friend." Or Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice. This is, I think, Elizabeth's talking to Darcy. "To be sure, you knew of no actual good of me, but nobody, singular, thinks of that when they fall in love." Now, if we look at pronouns across languages, and I'm very sorry. Oh, no, that's actually correctly displayed now. Thank you. When we just look at pronouns across languages, this is what we get. Most languages, around 50% of languages attested throughout the world, have a pronoun system that looks something like that. They have a 6-fold division, first, second, and third person, and then singular and plural. And we can see that only in third person singular, languages actually, most languages make a distinction between genders. So for instance, in German, we have er, sie, es, and sie as a neo-pronoun, or in English, we have she, he, it, they. Or in Welsh, we have he and we. In Cantonese, for instance, we only have keoi. That is only one third-person singular pronoun that refers to all genders. The important thing about third-person pronouns is that these are pronouns that point to a person that is spoken about, rather than a person that is speaking, as we would use first and second pronouns for to mark persons who are speaking. And also across the history of English, we can see that pronouns have changed, like the English language has changed. So over the last 1,500 years of documented history of English, pronouns have changed massively. That means that we need to prepare ourselves that pronouns will also change in the future. So to wrap everything up, I try to make 5 points today. First, what pronouns are, namely that they are little particles in language that stand in for a noun and refer back to that noun. Second, that singular they pronouns are widely accepted in contemporary English language usage. Thirdly, that singular they is also attested in the canonical literature of the last 500 years. That fourthly, that grammatically, third-person pronouns refer to a person that is spoken about rather than a person that is speaking. And fifthly, that pronoun usage has changed over the course of the history of the English language and will probably do so in the future as well. So pulling all of this together, I think we can make a case for using singular they pronouns to refer to persons whose gender we don't know, or to refer to persons who explicitly express the desire to be called by they, them pronouns, or to babies as well, especially those babies who themselves cannot yet speak and are only spoken about, and who cannot therefore articulate their gender identity yet. So next time you meet a baby on the bus or on the train or in the park and you get chatting to their parents, try it out. Use they, them pronouns instead of asking if this baby is a boy or a girl, if this baby has male or female genitals. And I think this can make a change, a little change at least, to raise a new generation of kids who are a bit more free from the restrictions of the imposition of two dominant genders. Babies and children are incredibly creative. So let's not restrict their creativity by putting them into one of two boxes. Let them be outside of the box for as long as possible. Thank you.